So, folks, we are going to go through kind of one rental at a time 101. And we're actually going to pull up the spreadsheet that is a part of my course. It's probably a foundational element, it's the anchor that the beginning of the course is. And we're going to give it away for free. I fully expect if you're in a position where you don't have $400 to buy the course, you should pause the video and copy the spreadsheet. I give you permission to copy the spreadsheet. It is really, really simple on purpose. I know that this is extremely valuable. I also know that the course is extremely valuable on top of that. So, Dion, what do you want to kind of open with when we talk about what I call the deal spreadsheet?
So I like that you did all of the work. So thank you for that. The lazy person, the lazy investor really appreciates that you did that. The biggest takeaway that I have with this data, first, I like that you list the data sources. So it's not just, here's some information I found. It's literally you have a tab that says, here's where you go verify this information.
Actually, Dion, just so we're clear, which of my spreadsheets, we're doing the deal review, like list property, rent, expenses, yield calculation.
Every time you talk about spreadsheet, I get excited about your 52-year spreadsheet because I'm like, I use that thing all the time. Every time an argument comes up, I go, look, here's a guy who did the work. Okay, so
we'll do that one next. This is the deal review spreadsheet.
Okay, so I took your course, I want to say like a year ago, maybe even a little more than that now, to do a review. I didn't want to just go, hey, I like Mike, you should take his course. I actually told you, I'm probably going to tell people not to. Let me take your course and see what I think. And I was like, wow, I'm usually against courses. But all of your information is on YouTube. And if you want to watch 8,000 videos,
10,000 videos.
$100. But if you want to filter down to like, so I reviewed the course, I actually got on board. So you turned me around on that.
There you go.
But the biggest thing was when I opened the course and I saw your deal review spreadsheet. So now that I'm talking about the right one, it's so simple, and I don't know why I didn't think of it. Of put the same deal. Don't look at like 6 properties, but look at one property 6 times.
Yes.
So you can change one element. What happens if I change my down payment? What if I pursue a better? What if I buy down the rate? What if all of those 6 things, that right there was enough of a mental shift for me to sit back and go, okay, I'm doing a review, of course, but I'm going to be taking some notes all the way through the whole thing, right? Yeah. So that's my first takeaway of your deal review spreadsheet.
Yeah, the deal review spreadsheet is, again, it's extremely simple on purpose. It allowed it for me, right? Somebody who's been playing with it for 20 years. Not only can I take one deal and do it 4 or 5 different ways, which I think is extremely valuable. Where this thing really becomes a lightning bolt of aha is when I could put in a 20-unit apartment, and I use that on purpose because it's the biggest thing I bought, and a little 560 square foot house, which is the smallest thing I bought. I can put both those things on the same spreadsheet, and it tells me what to buy. This bigger is better nonsense is not true. I want my money working hard. And if that's in a little 1-bedroom, 1-bath house, I'll buy it. If that's in a 20-unit apartment, I'll buy it. This spreadsheet becomes that lens that I look at every deal. Every deal goes through this spreadsheet.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So let's bring it up and give it away. And again, if you don't have $400, I understand. Pause the video and copy it. It's okay. I give you permission. So Dion, you can see this, yes?
Yes.
So let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Look at that. Like I know how to use Excel. All right. So again, the spreadsheet is very simple. If you're in my course, you're going to build your own version because you can add all the columns you want. In the beginning, I recommend adding a date column, like when you found it, when it changed, all of that. But this spreadsheet right here is the simple math. You can add any data elements you want, and we go through it in detail in the course. So I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. Actually, Dion, when you look at this, let's ask you as the guest, what do you see when you look at this?
So the first thing I'm looking at is, we almost all focus on yield. Like literally when somebody says, I have a calculator app, like the CDS rental calculator app. No one talks about the amortization schedule. No one talks about the down payment. No one talks about all of the costs. They go, what's the yield? So that you can have the yield on the right for different deals or the same deal multiple different ways. That's the thing I would zero in on as an investor.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do one of those examples for it. We're just going to do row, oops, these 4 rows, and we're just going to pretend it's the same house, like 1, 2, 3 Main Street. And we'll do 3 of them instead of 5. Okay. So again, we're going to take all of these, copy it, and we're going to watch what happens. And Excel changes some of these, so we'll move these back. Okay. All right. So again, we're going to have a house for 140 grand. We're going to assume a down payment is 30%. I'm just walking through the cells so we can look at this together. We're going to assume the repair cost is 20 grand, and that's obviously what I also hear called is make ready. We're going to assume closing cost is $2,000, right? And we'll do these in sections. So out of pocket right now, you have $64,000. Let's do this again. Okay. So to Dion's point, what happens if, I don't know why Excel does this all the time. It always adds a number. Okay, there we go. So the first thing I would say is, okay, let's say it's $20,000 make ready, but what happens if you buy a turnkey property? Right?
Right.
If you go over here, folks, you can watch these numbers change. This went from 7 to 10. Or you can go the other way. Maybe 20 grand's middle of the road, but let's say it's a full gut. Right? Yield goes down. So again, the whole point of section 1 of this, or at least how I'm bringing it down here, is how much cash comes out of your pocket. Right? So we just changed one column. It went from a medium remodel to a turnkey to a full gut. Make sense, Dion?
Yep.
Awesome. So let's assume we go back here.
So while you're doing that really quick, there are people probably watching, screaming at the top of their silent minds as they're looking at their screen, that where are you going to find a house for 140,000, right? And
Sure.
that actually is irrelevant, so don't change it.
Okay.
It's 140,000, and you would get you rents in that 1,300 range that show up over there on the right. If you're in an area where you're paying $300,000 or $400,000 for a 3 or 4 bedroom house, it's renting for 2,000 and something. So this will work. Your yield will work on an economy of scale based on your price and your rents. So that's why people talk about some high cost of living areas. The rents don't make sense. So you kind of draw a circle around that city and move out until rents and prices start to hit an equilibrium, and then you'll find deals like this where yes, you can actually get a return.
Yeah. Again, put in your numbers. I mean, whatever your numbers are, these are, I'm just trying to just show some math. And again, the whole idea of this is you could change variables. So one of the things in today's environment is getting closing cost credit. I have no idea. So right now the yield is 7%, but let's just assume the seller paid all closing costs. That happens, right? Oh, the yield didn't change much, but I bet you if we expanded this, it did. Let's see. Where's my numbers? Look at that. It went from a 6.8, which got rounded to 7, to a 7.2 with one thing. If the seller pays the $4 grand in closing costs, your yield goes up almost 0.5%. Think about that. That's amazing. You see that, Dion?
That's the power of this spreadsheet. Like I said, I was investing probably 10 years when I first looked at your stuff, maybe 11, coming up on 11. And had never thought of something as simple as, let me put the same deal out on one spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Right. I had used the calculator apps, and I would go back in and I would try to change things to see what would happen to the yield. But now you're looking at one screen that you've made a change to. It's not like looking at this spreadsheet and literally being able to say, okay, in this column I made this change. I see both results on the end column.
Yeah, exactly. Just that $4,000 savings increases your yield 0.5%. And again, that yield is every year. Your money is working harder. It's just so powerful. Again, if you're not asking for closing cost credit and rates buy downs today, you are missing the boat. Ask for it. So again, a cash. And again, if we go here and we go back and say, hey, instead of 20 grand, I don't need to do a full gut remodel or whatever. Maybe it's just 8,000. There you go. And oh, by the way, I'm going to negotiate it down to 132. Which makes my down payment a little bit less. And just all these things you can play with. And again, it's the same house. Again, let's make this the same address. So again, that's only section 1. Now let's do expenses. So expenses, you can add whatever you would like as well. I've made some assumptions that in this case, I said property management's 10%, but maybe you do one column at 10% and the next column is 0 because you're going to self-manage. What is that worth to you? Look at that. One change. Oh, actually, no, it's not quite one change. I stand corrected because I made these other changes. Let's go back. Let's make all of these the same. Why is, oh, that's the down payment. Okay, let's do this again. I just want to be equal atoms to atoms. So, okay, 66. So again, I want to see, oh, the yield, just this one. Wow.
It's almost like somebody's made 5 or 6 videos on my channel of the hidden cost of property management.
I want you to see this. Again, this one change, this $130 change explodes the yield. Watch this. Boom. Your yield went up, roughly speaking, 50%.
10% in property management fees isn't 10%. It's 10% of gross. Yeah. So it gives you about 50% of net. It's an equation that breaks my brain every time I think of it.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. So the other thing to point out is if you have the spreadsheet, I put in a very simple interest-only calculation. Put in your numbers, your math, your mortgage payment, whatever that is. Again, this is very simple because not everybody is an Excel wizard. Let's actually up this to 7. Look at that. So again, if your interest rate's 1 point higher, and again, let's try to make this apples to apples. I keep getting so excited. So let's take this back to 6%. So again, if you're getting the seller to give you 6% or they're buying down your rate or whatever, but here you have to pay a higher rate, let's say 7%, your mortgage payment will be higher. And oh, by the way, your yield will go down. Very simple. Again, put in your own mortgage payment, make your own assumptions, put in your rate buy downs, paying points. You can do all the math right here. Does that make sense, Dion?
It's incredibly useful.
Yeah, it's very simple. And again, you can add your own columns, right? I have a big old catch-all here for expenses, vacancy, capital, whatever you want to put in whatever you want. Add utilities, snow removal, whatever it is. And then finally, rent, right? So there's cash out of pocket, there's monthly expense, and then there's rent. I suggest, again, to Dion's point, putting in actual rents, like, oh, it's actually rents for $1,300. But I think I can do the binder strategy and get $1,495. But maybe I think top of market is, I don't know, $1,600 or whatever. Do all the formulas that you want. Make this yours. And the whole goal of this is if you buy the course, your homework assignment is for 60 days is to make this spreadsheet long. You're going to have dozens and hundreds. You could have 100 rows really, really easy. Ultimately, you're going to get some kind of average. In this case, again, with very few rows, the average is 5%. You see that down here? So in this market, with this spreadsheet, at this point in time, average is 5. So you should only be doing great deals, which I would argue are anything excess of 8%. That is what I talk about. Real estate investing is a skill. The skill is learning average. Once you know average, you can be released on the wild and only write great deals. What do you think, Dion?
I think it's beautiful. I think I'm going to use your spreadsheet to make another video today.
Yay! It is that simple. Again, there's a lot in the course. It will be $400 if you happen to watch this at the right time. You might be lucky enough to get it at $320. But again, even if it's $400, who cares? It's extremely valuable. You get the Facebook group, mastermind. Anything else you want to say about this as we wrap it up?
No, I think it's great that you share it. Like I said, when I took the course, there was 1,000 things after that.
That was like in the very beginning.
It was just the first thing. I was like, oh, wow. I'm glad I'm reviewing this course.
There you go.
Not for selfish gains whatsoever at all.
No, not at all. Well, Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, sharing the information I learned from you at Dion Talk Financial Freedom.
It's not true. Folks, if you haven't gone into the course and looked up the binder section, you are missing out. And if you haven't seen what that is, search for it on Dion's channel. It is powerful. Getting the tenants to ask for rent increases that they are happy with. Think about that. Dion, thank you so much.
Ciao.